This is the story of two classmates who can't stand each other and argue 24/7. However, due to some strange circumstances, they are forced to marry each other. Isn't this quite interesting? You might be wondering what happens to their relationship. The high school classmates Saito Huju and Akane Sakuramori absolutely can't stand each other. They frequently argue and struggle to get along. However, everything changes when Akane's grandmother and Saito's grandfather, Tenryu Huju, the head of the Huju Group, a global high-tech corporation, decide to force them to marry, and if they refuse, they both will have something to lose. In Saito's case, he won't inherit the company if he refuses. They are given 3 days to make a decision. After 3 days, Saito and Akane both agree to the marriage. Believing that they would marry once they have graduated from college, they decide to leave, only to discover that they are officially a couple, and the old folks have already taken care of the legal paperwork. Before they could process what just happened, their grandparents dropped them at a new house, which would be theirs from that moment onwards. Moreover, they have already delivered their belongings to this new house. While checking out the house, they discover that there's only one queen-size bed in the bedroom. Throughout the day, Akane keeps her distance from Saito, thinking he might attack her like a savage animal. At night, they both sleep together on the same bed, facing opposite directions, where Akane expresses that she will do whatever it takes to achieve her goal. At present, Akane threatens him to not tell anyone in the school about their marriage. Saito and Akane's classmates start labeling them as a couple, not because their secret is revealed, but because they are judged based on how much they fight. Akane cooks for Saito when she finds out that he plans on living off of cup ramen, veggie juice, and protein shakes. Her homemade cooking reminds him of the past, and he enjoys every bite of it. The next morning, she yells at him for not doing the dishes after the dinner. When she confronts him for not taking care of the house properly, he tells her the trash needs to be taken out once a month or so, which leaves her stunned. Later, Saito accidentally walks in on Akane taking a bath. However, when he notices that she isn't responding to his calls, he attempts to wake her up, but accidentally pushes her on himself, leading to chaotic moments. Shortly after, Akane realizes that Saito might have attempted to save her when she dozed off, and when she tries to make up with him, he shrugs her off. The next morning, Akane asks Himari for a piece of advice to get along with Saito, and Himari tells her that it's not about making sure others respect you, but what's important is you respect others. Shisei, Saito's cousin, tells him to understand how the other person feels. Later that day, they both decide to agree on the middle ground of what is tolerable. Akane allows accidental touch when they are sleeping on the bed, while Akane requests he compliments her cooking every time. After clearing the misunderstandings, Saito notices Akane is kinder to him. When Saito is reading a book, Akane unexpectedly invites him to watch a very long cat film that she had rented from a local store. Initially reluctant, he decides to give it a go and sleep through it. Afterwards, they enjoy playing some video games, and before going to sleep, she asks him to call her by her first name. To improve his relationship with Akane, Saito reads a communication skills book and then invites her on a date, but weirds himself and Akane out by saying they would be going on errands. Later that night, when Akane is sleeping, Saito touches her cheek. She awakens from the sensation of getting touched and snaps at him. After Saito clears up the misunderstanding, she tells him he is allowed to look at her cheek. The next day, Himari spots Akane and Saito together, but they both get into their natural habitat, arguing and defaming each other. The same night, Akane studies for the imminent exams, while Saito, the genius who has already everything memorized and doesn't need to study, cooks her various midnight snacks to keep her energy up. The next night, the sleep-deprived Akane catches illness, and Saito treats her. Saito tells her to not push herself beyond her limits, and in response, she reveals dreams of becoming a doctor one day, and for that, she needs to study. Akane's parents don't have the means to put her through medical school, but her grandmother promised to fund her education if she married Saito. In the heat of the moment, Akane slips and reveals she admires him, but when she realizes, she tells him to forget that. When her condition worsens, Saito carries her in his arms all the way to the hospital. After a week, everything returns to normal, and Saito also gets a perfect score on the quiz. When Himari flirts with Saito, Akane warns him to not talk with other girls, which makes him feel that he has the cutest wife in the world. Shisei demands Saito give her his entire lunchbox, and when he refuses to give it to her, they start arguing over it, grabbing the attention of their classmates. Since Akane prepared lunch for herself and Saito, everyone suspects they are dating due to both having similar lunches. Sometime later, Himari approaches Saito, asking if something is going on between him and Akane. One night, Akane wakes up and sees something standing by her bedside. Scared, she starts following Saito wherever he goes. Shisei discovers about Saito and Akane's relationship, even though the forced couple tried to hide it from her. She decides to sink her nose into Saito and Akane's business and tells them that their house is indeed haunted by evil spirits. She tells them that she needs to look around the house herself to assess the situation and dispel the spirits. Shisei's investigation starts in Saito's room. Next, she searches Akane's room, and after calculating every possible scenario like a professional detective, she reveals herself as the ghost. Shisei explains she got a spare key from Saito's father and secretly visited their house. Since Shisei is already there, she has dinner with Akane and Saito and then spends some time playing video games with Saito. Seeing how close Saito and Shisei are, Akane feels jealous. When Saito and Akane hit the sack, Shisei joined them and occupied the space in the middle to cling to her cousin. She reveals she has always been with Saito ever since the day she was born, implying that their bond can't be broken. When Saito falls asleep, Shisei tells Akane that she is worried if Saito will ever have a happy life, but now she is glad that he has found Akane. A flashback shows Akane was approached by Himari to become friends. Even though Akane was hesitant at first, they gradually forged a stronger bond as they hung out. At present, Akane and Himari are at a cafe, having some coffee and dessert, when suddenly Himari declares she loves Saito and starts pointing out his good qualities. She reveals she admires him because he believes in himself, unlike her, who is pretty much insecure about herself. Himari convinces Akane to help her get together with Saito. Akane realizes that even though they live in the same house, she hardly knows anything about Saito. As a result, she begins stalking him to know more about him. During dinner, she asks him several questions such as what type of girls he likes or what kind of food he likes and more, and then reports everything to Himari the next morning. However, she accidentally reveals specific details about him, like how he reads a book before sleeping and what kind of video games he plays. Himari decides to ask Saito herself about what type of girls he likes. He responds by saying he can't fall in love with someone without knowing them, indicating that having types kills the whole point. Later the same day, Akane asks Saito for book recommendations. In reality, this was a favor asked by Himari. However, when Himari isn't able to understand the book and asks Saito to explain some complicated parts, seeing Himari and Saito together, Akane feels jealous. Himari tells Saito that Akane saved her when she was getting bullied and is very important to her. Later, Himari insists she hangs out with Akane at her house. Akane tries to shrug her off but fails, and Himari ends up coming. Himari asks Akane if she has any feelings for Saito, because if Akane loves him, she doesn't want to be a bother. After confirming that Akane doesn't have feelings for Saito, Himari confesses to Saito the next day. Saito tells Akane that he was confessed to by Himari, but he can't go unless she allows him to. Akane initially snaps at him for telling her something she doesn't have any business in, but stops him when he is about to leave for the date, explicitly telling him that she can't imagine seeing him with another girl. The next day, everything returns to normal. Even Himari acts like nothing happened, though she announces she will make sure to make him fall in love with her. Himari prepares lunch for Saito and feeds him with her hands. Afterward, she asks him to tutor her at her home, as her parents are out and she is alone in the house, in addition to her grades not being good. However, when Akane persists, seemingly opposing that idea, they decide to meet at Akane's house, where even Saito is welcomed as a guest. After studying for a bit, they decide to play the memory game. And since Saito has incredible memory, he wins the game without any effort. When he goes out to buy drinks for everyone, Akane tags along with him, and when asked about why his memory is so good, he reveals everyone in the Huju family has a particular trait that is off the charts. Shisei can calculate enormous amounts of data, while he has this incredible memory which he deems a curse. However, Akane tells him that it's not a curse but an incredible ability, and she actually envies him for having that memory. Saito decides to help Akane study, and while they are studying, he tells her that he wants to know more about her. She reveals she had a younger sister who always used to be sick, and she was left alone to take care of her. Her sister is now nowhere to be found. To cheer Akane up, Saito asks her out on a date. She turns up to the date, wearing the clothes her grandmother chose for her. Later, he reveals he asked her out to make her feel better. On their way home, Akane spots an expensive ring and decides to buy it once she has enough money. Saito decides to work part-time at Shisei's parents' company, helping them translate some obscure language for their software. When Akane finds him working late at night, he tells her that she should stay away. It's not her business. Shisei, already knowing Saito's plan of buying Akame a gift, pouts, and when he asks her what's wrong, she expresses that he hasn't been paying attention to her lately. To make up, they cuddle on the bed like two siblings. When he starts coming home late, she smells Shisei's smell on his clothes, though she initially doesn't know until she crosses paths with her. Worried about him, she decides to call the Shisei's house, hoping to talk with him. However, she gets to talk with Shisei's mother, who tells her that her marriage with Saito is a formality, so she needs to not make any fuss. After receiving his paycheck, he buys her the ring she liked, which makes her happy. Akane accidentally wears the ring to the school, but Saito reminds her to hide it. At that moment, she puts it in her pouch, but at home, she finds that it is missing. She tries to keep it a secret from Saito while looking for it in secret. Later, Shisei also helps her search for the ring. Saito has a hunch something is wrong with Akane. Shortly after, Shisei reveals the news. After searching her for a while, he eventually finds Akane, but in a shabby appearance, he asks her to go home with him and says he will buy her a new ring. However, she doesn't want a new ring because the one she lost was forged with real emotions. Saito knows the exact location where she might have lost because of his inhumane memory, and they fetch it in the end. Saito is approached by a mysterious girl named Maho who asks him out. She reveals she knows everything about him, even he and Akane living together. She starts to follow him and persistently asks him out, ultimately convincing him to go see the shopping district next to school and have some lunch at a fast food restaurant. She catches Saito off guard by licking his sauce-dipped fingers and then captures the picture using her phone, intending to use this against him. However, Saito makes her delete this picture. Later, when Saito calls it a day, she insists he takes her home, and if he refuses, she will tell the whole school about his and Akane's relationship. When they arrive home, Saito discovers Maho is Akane's younger sister, who used to be sick all the time as a child. Maho remarks, since she already is at their house, she is going to inspect it to see if it is worth living for her sister. After thoroughly checking their rooms, she declares that Saito and Akane shouldn't sleep together. Moreover, she plans on staying at their house for a few days. Soon after, another uninvited guest, Shisei, appears from a very strange place, a fridge. You heard it right, a literal fridge. When Shisei hears Maho calling Saito Oni-chan, she challenges her to a duel, where both would attempt to charm him, and Shisei's overloaded cuteness makes her emerge as the victor. Late, Maho compassionately tells Akane that she wants to replace her and become Saito's marriage partner, so she can focus on her education. Akane argues that he and Maho are not compatible at all, but she doesn't change her decision. Later that night, Akane asks Saito if he is going to give up on her. Saito and the girls, including Himari, visit the amusement park, where they have fun riding different rides. Akane, the only one feeling uncomfortable, reveals she is pushing herself for Maho, who had loved amusement parks since childhood, but wasn't able to go. When Saito and Maho visit a haunted house, Maho complains she is feeling sick and has Saito carry her outside, where she reveals she was just acting, which makes Saito angry. He snaps at her for joking about something so tiny that can lead to bigger problems. Saito, tired from dealing with the energetic Maho all day, goes to bed to sleep but is surprised by Maho, who tries to force herself on him. Saito tells her that he already knows she hates him, and then has her admit that. When Akane finds them in their predicament, she tells both Saito and Maho that she hates them, so they spend the rest of the night at a hotel. The next morning, Saito discovers Maho is sick because haven't had any medicine last night, so he carries her to the hospital like he did to Akane. Maho gets hospitalized for a few days, but asks Saito to keep it a secret from Akane. He continues to visit her, hoping she will recover and meet her sister again. Saito tells Maho that he already knew she hated him at first and also knows that she wants to see Akane happy, just like him. Akane happens to be overhearing this through the hospital room. A week later, Maho apologizes to Akane for causing the trouble and clears up the misunderstanding, though she reveals she may have fallen in love with Saito, making Akane furious at him. Later, Akane asks Saito if what he said about making her happy earlier is true. When he gives her a positive response, she asks him to come home early. Unexpectedly, Himari overhears them and discovers their truth. Everyone in class is now convinced that Saito and Akane now live together, and they continue to deny it. And to avoid bumping into their classmates, they stay at home when it's not the school hours. Later, Himari comes to their house and apologizes for spearing the word. Himari devises a plan to make the rumors come to an end. She suggests he should pretend to play boyfriend with a different girl. Since Shisei and Saito share a familial bond, they fail to convince people to be a couple with their weak roleplay. In the end, Himari decides to be the pretending girlfriend. Himari, who genuinely loves Saito, enjoys them being a couple, while Saito follows her lead, as this is her plan. Soon, everyone in the class learns and presumes they are a couple, and later they also confirm it. Akane watches this all happening but leaves them to handle this. After school, Saito and Himari go on a date, and when he calls it a day, she invites him to her house. He initially refuses, but when he sees her feeling down, he decides to join her. Unlike Akane, who still hasn't realized her feelings, Himari straightforwardly confesses to him several times and even has him accompany her until late at night. Akane can't let Himari have Saito, so she decides to ask Himari to stop pretending, but her arguments are invalid. Saito and Akane finally exchange contact after living together for so long. Saito receives the invitation from Tenryu to join Tenryu's cousin's 70th birthday. Since Akane would have to live alone, he invites her to properly meet the Huju family, but she says she prefers living alone. After Saito hands Tenryu's cousin a birthday gift, they bring his relationship to the spotlight. Tenryu's cousin remarks she expected Saito to marry Shisei, and surprisingly, this comment of hers leaves the expressionless Shisei flustered. Meanwhile, Himari visits Akane and apologizes for her provoking speech. Akane tells her that she isn't even angry with her. After getting on good terms again, they bake some desserts. Himari reveals she and Saito text each other frequently, or rather every night, and she even sends him risque pictures. Akane seems to be upset over the fact that he doesn't text her. At Shisei's house, everyone drinks so much that they are wasted. Midnight, Akane hears the sounds of someone running in the house. When she notices a silhouette, she assumes it's a burglar and smacks that person in the head, only to realize it is Saito. He reveals he walked 2 hours straight to get here, and they go to bed after he takes a bath. Saito notices that Akane's voice is similar to the girl he met when he was a kid. Saito wakes up and notices that Akane is more nice than usual. Saito recalls being told long time no see from Akane when they first met in high school. He asks her did they ever meet before. Although she denies commenting that, she feels down because he forgot the memory of them meeting for the first time. It is revealed that she was indeed the girl he was looking for. They met when Huju family threw a party, and her family was also invited. Overwhelmed by a random surge of emotions, she decides to lock herself in her room for a while Saito goes grocery shopping. Saito bumps into Himari getting hit by some pervy dudes and saves her. She reveals she is being tormented by her stepmother and can't go back, at least not for a while. Saito decides to stay with her for some more time, and touched by his kindness, she locks in for a French hymn. The picture of them kissing becomes the hot topic in their school, as someone secretly captures their photo. Akane is devastated after seeing the picture. Soon after, Himari approaches her, and Akane confronts her for stealing her husband. Himari reveals she knows how to sneak into Saito's heart, but she didn't because that would be unfair to Akane. Besides, she wants competition. She admits knowing that Akane was in love with him from the first day of the school because everything was so obvious. Once they make up, they both declare they will be going all out to win Saito. And there you have it, the complete recap for one of the best romantic comedy anime that came this year. Before you leave, make sure to comment on your favorite part of the anime and also subscribe to the channel and like the video.